What is up, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is going to be the first video on my YouTube channel, and today we're going to go through part one of learning how to drive without the racing line. And as you can see by the time trial leaderboards, I am ranked 2,506th in the world on all or over all platforms when it comes to Bahrain. And then for PlayStation, I am ranked 938th in the world. So that lets you know I got a bit of pace in me. So you can trust me for giving you the details as to how it is that you're going to learn to drive without the racing line. So we're here at Bahrain. That's the first circuit that you're going to be doing in order to start this process of learning how to drive without the racing line. So let's get into it. So to begin, you are going to be doing 10 to 15 laps around this Bahrain circuit. And what you're going to be focusing on is going into every single braking zone and or turn. What you're going to be doing over those 10 to 15 laps is trying to take a mental photograph of where it is that the racing line turns from green to red. So you're going to do 10 to 15 laps, try and memorize where the braking or the racing line turns from green to red. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do one lap without the racing line, just to show you, I guess, one lap without the racing line. So let us get into it. And that's also the thing when you're doing your 10 to 15 laps and memorizing the points where the racing line goes from green to red, you don't have to go at 100%. It can be around 80 to 90%. So as you can see there, I got a 129.968, which is about, I think it said 1.7 or 1.8 off of my record that I have set for this circuit. Now, you're not going to be worrying about the time that, or the times that you're setting as you're doing the 10 to 15 laps. What you're focusing on specifically is just finding the markers as to where it is that the racing line goes from green to red. So for this next part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the first two heavy braking zones of this Bahrain circuit. So I will restart the lap. Never take that turn like I just took that turn. That was horrendous. So for this turn one, So for that turn one, as you can see, there are brake marker boards on the left side of the track. You see one that says 50, one that says 100, one that says 150. Your aim for that particular braking zone is going to be to brake somewhere between 100 and 150. Ideally, you'll be aiming for around the 125 meter mark. So right in the middle between the 100 meter braking board and the 150 meter braking board. If you can try and aim for the middle point between those two boards or slightly closer to the 100 meter braking board, that is ideally where it is that you would want to brake for turn one of this circuit. So now we will head down to turn 4. Oh, one thing that I want to add, while you're doing your 10 to 15 laps, if you do need to do instant replay after you have just gone through one of the turns, you can do that as well. And you're going to need to do that because some of the turns are going to be slightly harder to memorize where the breaking point is than others. You can use instant replay as well. So I just went through turn 4, or the second heavy braking zone in or on this circuit. So from where it is, as I go back, as my car is being a little bit ridiculous right now. So I will just show again where it is approximately that I brake. So when you are going into this turn, when you have the braking or the racing line, when you have the racing line on, you will see that it turns red. I believe it'll be somewhere near to the 100 meter braking board. But without the racing line, where it is that I typically aim, so see this gray patch that's on the left side of the track here, where I tend to aim for this braking zone is just slightly after that gray patch, somewhere in between the 100 meter braking board that you see right there, somewhere before that and after the gray patch that that you can see right there. So that will be the point as to where it is that you're going to want to try and aim to brake for this particular turn. So I just showed the first 2 heavy braking zones of this circuit. And actually, I'm going to give you a bonus one. I'm going to give you the third one. So we will drive down. So you just saw me go through that turn, which will be the third heavy braking zone of this circuit. Now, when it comes to this particular turn, and you will see it as you are doing your laps with the racing line on, that it is a bit more difficult to be able to get a braking point for this particular turn, because as you can see, there are no brake marker boards on either side of the track. So when you are driving or doing your laps, your 10 to 15 laps where you're trying to get where the racing line turns from green to red, you are going to see that you're going to be braking as you're heading to the turn. And even if you rewatch as I went through the turn. Now, yeah, I was going relatively full speed, so it should be able to correlate even when you are going full speed yourself. But you are going to see, so if you can see that right or that light pole that is on the right, just to the right of the delta timer that's continuously counting up, what it is that you're going to want to do is when that pole just comes out of the vision on your screen, either when you're just approaching when it's coming to the cutoff of where your screen is or slightly after, that's where you're going to want, or when you're going to want to brake when you're going through this particular turn. So when it comes to certain turns on certain circuits, there are going to be no brake marker boards. So what it is that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to use some type of landmark. It can be a light post. It can be a line that is on the track in some instances on certain tracks. It can be, let's say, the curb that is red and white going along the left side there. You can even choose a relative spot on that curb where it is that you're going to want to brake, because after you do this turn and then you go down that tricky downhill left-hander and then you're going into the DRS straight, the next turn that you want to brake for me personally, what I do is I know that it's at a certain spot. I believe it is between the 50 and 100 meter braking board. But I remember when I was initially learning, I was looking at one of the specific colors at a certain point on that curb. I was looking at that particular square or rectangle of color, and that is where I aimed to brake. That's when I was initially learning how to use or how to drive without the racing line. So there are many different references that you can use while you're driving. If there are no brake marker boards, there are many different references that you can use to be able to mark as to where it is that you are going to brake. So I've given you the first 3 heavy braking zones of this particular Bahrain circuit. So I think after this, so I just went through another heavy braking zone. There will probably be, it's either, I guess, another 2 or 3 going forward from here until the end of the lap. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through the circuit by yourself and you're going to learn as to where it is that you're going to be braking when it comes to those particular braking points and or turns. Now, here's the thing. When you are learning to drive without the racing line, you're going to have to absolutely cut out racing. Racing is going to be done for you for the time being. I would say what it is that's going to happen is that within the first week that you're going to be just continuously doing time trial lap after time trial lap without the racing line turned on, within the first week, you're going to be lapping anywhere from, I would say, 1.5 seconds to 3 seconds or more slower than your record time that you have set on this circuit, with obviously with the racing line turned on. By week 2, I would say you'll probably consistently be, I would say, probably a second to 1.5 seconds off of your consistently a second to a second and a half off of your record that you have set for this circuit. And then I would say within week 3, you'll probably be within 5/10 consistently of your record, and it's more than likely that within the 3rd week, that's when you're going to set a new record for this Bahrain circuit. So for the time being, if you're going to take this seriously, racing is going to be finished for the time being, and just expect that you're not going to be setting a new record as far as driving without the racing line on this circuit. You're probably not going to set a new record until at least 3 weeks from when you start to learn to drive without the racing line. So that's going to be the conclusion of this first part of 3 videos as to how it is that you're going to learn how to drive without the racing line. In the next part, or part 2, I'm going to go over some other things that are going to enhance your ability to drive on this circuit and the circuits going forward, as well as improving your ability to drive without the racing line. And just to give you a sort of timeline as to how it is or how long it was that it took me to learn how to drive without the racing line. So in June, the end of June 2022, that's when I started to, exactly what it is I just told you, that's when I started doing that. And obviously I started on the Bahrain circuit. So the end of June 2022. I did not do my first online race just in open lobbies until I believe it was either the middle or end of September. And then I didn't do my first league race until mid-October. So that's basically saying it's like 3 months from when I started until I started racing online against other people across the world. So this is a process that you're going to have to be very patient. You're going to have to be very patient, but just trust in your abilities and remain patient. And over time, you're going to get it and understand how to be able to drive without the racing line. And once you do, it's going to be very fulfilling. Trust me. So that's going to do it for this part 1 video of learning how to drive with the racing line off. My name is Kema, and I'd like to thank you for tuning into this video. Make sure that you share this video if you know that there's anyone that wants to learn how to drive without the racing line, and or if you found this video informative. As well, if you could like it, that would be greatly appreciated. And also, you can subscribe to the channel. I do plan on doing league racing content, hopefully in February, more than likely in February. So you can subscribe to the channel and tune into some of the league racing content that I will be providing going forward. Once again, I'd like to thank you for tuning into this video, and I will see you for part 2 of learning how to drive without the racing line. Take care.